Hello, time for another Man in Gray book review. Today's book review is My Dear Detective, Mitsuko's Case Files, Volume 1. This is a manga that was written and illustrated by Natsumi and translated from Japanese by Samuel R. Messner. It was published in 2024 by Seven Seas Entertainment, and it's 184 pages long. This is a mystery series, a historical mystery series set in the late 1920s and early 1930s Japan during what's known as the Showa era. This was a time period in Japan where the country was westernizing. Baseball became popular at this point. They were modernizing their military. Of course, this eventually led to World War II. But it was a time period when the very tradition-bound Japan was changing and opening itself up to Western ideas to a degree. But it was still a very tradition-bound, patriarchal society. And Mitsuko is a female who's not only a working woman, she's a detective. She's the only female detective in all of Japan. She works for a detective agency in Tokyo. And she has to deal with a lot of prejudice and hostility from the men who think women should be at home having kids and taking care of the house, and they shouldn't be working. It's an insult. And she also has to deal with hostility from the other detectives in her agency. She's almost always paired with one of them, and they don't give her anything important to do because they don't want her there either. Now, one of the things that I wish the book had done is give a little backstory. How did Mitsuko become a detective? Why did she want to? And so forth. It doesn't really explain that. We just began with her being a detective. And the first story in this book, she gets her first big break. There's a young waiter at a restaurant named Saku who shows up with a high-heeled shoe with a large diamond attached to it. And he finds this shoe on a sidewalk near the restaurant. And it's obviously a very valuable shoe, and there was only one of them, so he believes that whoever dropped the shoe was kidnapped or attacked or something, that there has to be some kind of crime. And so he asks Mitsuko to try to find out who's the shoe belongs to. Of course, this is a difficult assignment, being as how it's Tokyo. And Saku doesn't just give her the assignment and leave. He wants to tag along with her and see how she works on the case. And so she reluctantly agrees, and the two of them team up to solve the mystery. And it turns out to be kind of a twist, an interesting twist that you don't see coming. And then we find out at the end of the first case that Saku is actually not just a waiter. He's the son of one of the richest men in Japan. He's the son of an industrialist. And he's only being a waiter because he wants to get out and meet people. He likes interaction with people, and so he kind of wangles his way into becoming Mitsuko's assistant at the detective agency. So the two of them then team up together, and they have offsetting personalities, and different strengths and weaknesses, which helps them do well as a team. And so then there's three other mysteries in this volume. One involves a missing painting that they have to try to track down. And then the longest story is one about where they're hired to protect a popular movie actress. This was during the silent movie days. And stage actress. She does a performance of Romeo and Juliet and gets a lot of rave for it, but she and this other actress were big rivals. They both became famous at the same time, and she tended to play the villains, and this other actress tended to play the heroic parts. And the other actress commits suicide, and everyone blames the villain actress for her death because they come up with this rumor that she bullied her or whatever. And so when she does Romeo and Juliet, this creates a huge wave of hostility and death threats and everything. And so these two detectives are hired to protect her. But then she disappears during this 24-hour period where they're supposed to be protecting her. And again, there's a plot twist at the end of that also. The final story is one that may upset some people because it doesn't complete. It's a story called The Innocent Monster, and it basically sets up the mystery, and then it ends, and then you have to buy the second volume to find out what happens. So it's one of those incomplete stories. It's a beautifully drawn book. Let me show you an example here. Some very, very 1920s, 1930s era costumes that are just gorgeous to see. If you can see that, it's very well drawn. Very stylishly drawn, and the whole idea of mystery series set in Japan in the 20s and 30s makes it intriguing. There's some really good characters. The plots, though, I think are a little choppy. Clearly, I think some of these stories were rushed. I mean, they were originally published in magazines, as many manga stories are. And some of them feel kind of rushed at the end because they're running out of pages. They have a set number of pages that they can do before they have to complete the story. So sometimes the stories don't seem kind of rushed and not fully satisfactory at the end. The main story about the actress that's being threatened, that's the most satisfying because it's the longest story and it really develops the characters better. But it's an interesting manga series if you're interested in mystery stories, mystery mangas, or historical mangas. This is really good. It's realistic. There's no supernatural elements. There's no fantasy elements. There's no violence. There's threats and stuff, but there's no killing or blood or anything. So if you're put off by those kind of mangas, this might be the one that you would enjoy. So it's certainly an interesting series if you're into manga and mysteries and so forth. The book is My Dear Detective, Mitsuko's Case Files, Volume 1. The author is Natsumi Ito. This has been another Man in Gray book review. Thanks for watching.